The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome to PKA Technologies Improving Data Center Efficiencies Tech Talk. I'm David Singer, Director of Marketing at PKA, and I will be the moderator during today's presentation. Thank you for joining us during the lunch hour, and be sure to stay to the end of the presentation and complete your survey. At that time, you will have the opportunity to let us know which pizza restaurant you prefer, and we'll be sure to send you a gift card. This call is being recorded, and following the presentation, we will provide you with a link to a copy of the slides and the recording, as well as a copy of Intel's planning guide on data center optimization. We are all aware that the processing power of the chips that Intel produces increases every 12 to 18 months. With the recent introductions of new processors for servers, that is certainly the case. However, changes in today's IT environments require more than just increases in processing power. It is important to understand all the benefits that we receive from these new processors and how the server manufacturers are implementing them to give you the right advantage to drive value for your organization and adapt to the new style of IT. Today, we are fortunate to have Mark Sadinsky from Intel and Craig St. Amour from Hewlett-Packard join us. Both Mark and Craig are industry veterans within the server and data center marketplaces. They will give us updates on the latest advances in processing chips and how those advances are being utilized to improve the efficiencies within the data center. One last piece of housekeeping before we will begin. We will have a question and answer period at the end of Craig's presentation. Feel free to enter your questions in the box on the upper right corner of your screen as you think of them and send them to us, and we'll address them at that time. With all that out of the way, I'd like to introduce Mark Sadinsky from Intel, and let's give him our attention.
David, thanks. Do I have control?
You should have control now.
There we go. All right. So, David and Craig, appreciate the opportunity today. Once again, this is Mark Sadinsky with Intel, and we collaborate very closely with HP in bringing new capabilities to market. That's what we're going to talk about today. And both HP and Intel are collaborating very closely with PKA to help deliver, capabilities. We all live in the same, economy here where traditional infrastructure is aging. We've got to figure out ways to stretch budget. How do we get the most out of those available dollars? And, really understanding what the challenges are. That's what HP and Intel are working on. We're in the lab, taking advantage of these new capabilities. And end of the day, we want to help deliver solutions to help all of you, grow your businesses. Effective IT, what we all do for a living, it really empowers the businesses we work for. We got to help uncover those benefits to make the businesses we work for, who we report to on a daily basis, show the impact of what the technology can do, and obviously justify the cost structure there. And I like the last statement here. Companies that integrate IT into the business to deliver differentiated services and value for their customers are thriving. So we view you, IT professionals, you guys are the service brokers for your own companies. And HP, Intel, and PKA, we want to help give you the tools, to help do that within your company. Within Intel and HP, we're having 3 different types of discussions with customers based upon where they are within their environments. The most common discussion is around how can we help drive operational efficiency? How can we help upgrade current infrastructures to not only get better performance that we're helping drive, but be more efficient, bring more security capabilities to the market to help you run your businesses. So that's the first discussion. How can we get operationally fit? And that focus there is around refreshing your current infrastructure. We'll talk more about that in a minute. The other discussion that we'll have is around modernizing service delivery. So once you get operationally efficient and you've consolidated your current infrastructure, now let's talk about new service delivery models to bring agility and flexibility into the environment, such as cloud. So HP and Intel will help you, along with our friends at PKA, build a hybrid cloud strategy, focusing on which workloads are best in a private cloud environment, and then help you with bursting capabilities to the public cloud for the appropriate workloads and when seasonality or peak workload demands require it. The other conversation that we're having, and it's becoming more and more frequent, with all the devices, whether it's smartphones, notebooks, sensors, data and storage is going through the roof. And everybody on the phone here, you have lots of data. What do you do with it? How do you analyze it? And being able to use technology that Intel, HP, and PKA bring to help you look at the data and get valuable business insights. So whether it's around business analytics, in-memory database, or big data solutions. So those are the three conversations that we're having, and we look forward to talking with you more if you have questions at the end. Focusing on operational efficiency, love to see a raise of hands, so we'll do that virtually. But over a third of all servers out in the market are 4 years or older. So I'm sure folks on the phone have groups of servers or entire environments that are 4 years or older. And what's happening is the majority of your hard-earned budget dollars are going to just supporting and maintaining those servers while they're only generating, minimal performance compared to, newer architecture. So what we want to do is help take that existing budget you have and how can we get operationally fit so more of your budget dollars can go to new projects, projects that will help your business evolve and grow versus the same old maintenance and support of existing infrastructure that's aging, that doesn't have the latest security technologies, performance is lacking compared to what's available today. So this is the opportunity that HP, Intel, and PKA see, and we absolutely want to talk to you further about it. It all starts with a strong foundation. That foundation that Intel and HP bring to market, takes advantage of the new capabilities that Intel is bringing and that HP will innovate around and bring new server and technologies to market, enhancing with security and more energy efficient capabilities. So it starts, and David mentioned at the beginning, Intel's on a cadence where figure every 12 months we're either shrinking the existing technology, and what that means to you is we're going to bring more capabilities, or we're going to come out with a new process technology. We launched the V3 product family back in September. HP has innovated around that, so that's what the Gen 9 platform that Craig will talk to in a minute is built on. And what we're doing is collectively HP and Intel we're looking at how we can help solve business issues that are on the truck today, but also lead you down a path to a software-defined infrastructure. So we're combining compute, storage, and networking. And when we can put numbers like 3x performance improvement, that's just generation over generation. We're integrating new instruction sets. So folks that have high-performance compute workloads take advantage of our AVX 2.0, and you'll double your performance. Intel SSD technology, certified by HP, will provide 6x the throughput and also get data much closer to the compute, so it enhances your overall capability in optimizing applications. And then on the networking side, Intel's a market leader in 1 gigabit and 10 gigabit adapters, and now we've also launched 40 gigabit network adapters. So that enhances network virtualization, and we're building in more and more capabilities, including orchestration, because if you're going to move to a software-defined infrastructure, what's critical to that is the orchestration layer, how you can monitor and control where resources get routed. This is just a quick snapshot. So now the server and storage technologies are running on Haswell architecture. I'm sure everyone out there is aware you've been using the Haswell technology in notebooks and desktops for the last year. We've now brought that to servers, and we're incorporating a number of new capabilities, including DDR4 memory that enhances performance as well as energy efficiency, as well as new virtualization and security capabilities. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Craig, who's going to talk about how the Gen 9 platform takes full advantage of the V3 technologies. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. This is Craig Santamore from HP, and thank you for giving us some of your lunch hour here to talk to you about what's going on in the computer industry. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, David introduced me as a veteran, probably a senior veteran. I started in the industry in the 70s, working with mainframes. In the 80s, we got to departmental systems, and I saw this evolution continue into the 90s when we went to the smart desktop or the intelligent desktop of workstations. And then as we got into the millennium, we saw the convergence of software, unified communications and collaboration, and social media, etc. So what we're seeing is the next step of the process is we've enabled the world, if you will, to compute more information and faster. So driving a huge disruption in today's IT is the rise of cloud, mobility, big data, and security. 5 years from now, in 2020, we're going to expect 30 billion devices to be out there on the internet, 40 trillion gigabytes of data, 10 million mobile apps for 8 billion people. Those numbers are overwhelming. The sheer size of it just makes it clear how fundamental these trends are to an organization's bottom line, because the resulting impact to a customer's IT is tremendous. How are they going to grapple with the compute requirement to power twice as many voicemails, twice as many users, 3 times as many devices, 6 times the growth just by 2016, which is only in another year and a half? These trends are seen as a disruption by some and are embraced as an opportunity by others, like big data. Think of all that information that's out there that you can gather to help further your company's business. But the bottom line is that solving these types of challenges and using these forces to your industry's advantages are table stakes in today's highly competitive environment. So the user demands are already accelerating at a phenomenal rate, and these disruptions require that IT, your IT, be more agile, efficient, and simple than ever before. IT service delivery needs to be measured in minutes, not weeks. And as well as the advent of new IT delivery and consumption models, such as cloud, with the new set of buyers and old buyers with different behavior models and needs. So the need for compute has to be flexible, and it has never been greater. So these trends are seen as disruption for some vendors and are embraced by others, but the bottom line is that solving these kinds of challenges and using these types of forces is what makes HP a leader in the environment. When one considers the technology that put man on the moon in 1969, it's amazing that 20 years later, you can fit that type of compute power into your pocket. That's when HP introduced the Systems Pro at that time. 25 years hence from that, we've got thousands of times that same power as the Systems Pro, but what pales by comparison is that we're going to need thousands and more horsepower and the performance of just where we are today, and as we look for the next 25 years. So we try to depict that with this slide. So in this particular slide, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that yesterday's servers they're your manual. You have change control. You have to automatically update firmware, patches, etc. So it's very manual. It's suboptimal because a lot of times you have oversized, expensive, inflexible stacks or silos, and the silos tend to be very inefficient and slow because you're not converged. You've got to replicate all of the work on each silo to get them up to speed. In today's the compute era, everything is going to be software defined, and the answer to this is that what you need by achieving these things is operational efficiency and productivity. You're looking to go after new markets in your business expansion and customer experience and retention. Because if you're not taking care of your customers, your competitors are as well. So we need to move from the current mode of operation to a more compute-centric world. So as we look here, so we need to reimagine the server. It's got to be faster. And of course, as we just talked about, Intel provides a bunch of the engines for that. But if HP just took an engine like all of our competitors, we wouldn't be any different than the competitors. So we do a lot of research and development around their engine to make our systems even more. So we think compute. We dynamically align pools of resources that allow for software-defined and cloud-ready applications. We converge the silos of your compute pools, your storage pools, your networking pools to workload optimize. And as I say, infrastructure is going to be the differentiator. What you're going to have to do is you've got to be scalable. You need information very, very quickly. Instead of a CapEx, you're going towards an OpEx environment with your IT department. And of course, open standards, broad ecosystem, and engaging the cloud is where you're going to need to go. So the infrastructure matters, and compute is its engine. You need the servers, storage, networking, management, and services all work together. And if you do it right, you can reduce IT complexity, you can free up capital, you're going to speed your IT delivery and outpace your competition, you're going to maximize your performance and drive business growth. In other words, you're going to be able to simplify your IT environment, make it, as we say, not a CapEx environment, but it's actually a broad advantage to your business. And the way HP is helping you do that is with our new ProLiant Gen 9 servers. This is delivering the right compute at the right workloads at the right economics every time. HP has a history of leading in this particular environment with the right economics. We introduced today, or not today, but a month and a half ago, these new Gen 9s based upon the Intel Haswell servers. And these servers are going to be an important step in the journey for the future compute that we just talked about, the amount of pressure that's going to be put on the compute model, the flexibility. And it's not just a chip, it's not just the computer, it's the management of your entire ecosystem. you have to be software defined and cloud ready. And that's what these demonstrate with HP's OneView, and we'll talk just a shade about that a little bit later. But it's an intelligent management platform for rack and blade servers, and it allows for the configuration and lifecycle management, virtual machines, etc., pulling it in. And it's across, if you will, a lot of the software spectrum. When you have convergence today, it means converged systems, platforms, components. But over the next few years, the data center becomes more converged as the compute functions are more optimized around a pool of compute resources. That includes cloud. Eventually, the entire enterprise is going to be converged. And then finally, under workload optimization, today HP works to automate the lifecycle management of servers and delivers a wide range of processing solutions, from Moonshot, which we'll talk about, all the way through the Reliant and now Apollo systems. Now, these particular systems are designed because not all customers are not all the same. Each customer has different compute requirements, different customer requirements, and therefore by industry require different solutions, and that's what HP will provide to you. So HP's history, we call them the G series. So we started off with G5s, where we had the emerging blade architecture. Then we finally went to singular modular architecture in the G6. We had the early convergence with G7s, and finally with G8s, the intelligent innovations. Let's say like smart memory, smart caching, the networking, load balancing. So to compare Gen 9s with Gen 8s, we have triple the compute capacity, and we've reduced the total cost of ownership 62% with these Gen 9s. And that's a comparison between the DL380 Gen 8 with the Sandy Bridge processors and all of the HP innovations with the DL380 Gen 9. So just in general, this is a higher view. We'll deeper dive on the next slide here. With the HP work with Intel, we've been able to get more compute and storage capacity. We get 2 times more compute per watt out of it. In other words, we're using less power on the system. By having less power, 18 cores instead of 12 cores, we got less space, and you got more backplane savings in terms of cost and energy, but you've increased the performance across that. You're able to tailor compute for efficient across different workloads, such as cloud or virtualized desktops. We've reduced the memory acquisition costs to lower your total cost of ownership. The new Intel chips, we've priced them at the same price as the old Sandy Bridge chips. So even though we've jumped a generation, they're more powerful, etc., same price. And because of their the Intel innovations and the HP innovations, we have reduced the power consumption without impacting any IT performance. And in fact, we got up to 4 times the compute power now per square foot. And because of some of the architectural things and the ASHRAE environment, that's an architectural environment, we can operate Gen 9 servers in a much warmer environment, thus saving you on air conditioning costs. So, HP Smart Memory, faster memory performance, 14% better performance over our Gen 8 boxes. We get 33% better performance. Million IOPS are supported by 12 gigabyte controllers, and we've actually announced 20 and 40 gigabyte controllers coming up soon. We've seen a 70% workload increase in performance. With smart caching, we're able to do 4 times the workload performance with that as it relates, if you will, with the PCI connectors and storage, etc. So HP has done a lot of R&D around the boxes to make them, if you will, your optimal choice for compute. So it's not just taking an Intel chip, throwing it into our old box. We've enhanced them tremendously so that you, our customers, PKA's customers, will realize the benefits of your investment. The products that we have announced, and this is just the start of it, as Mark talked about, it's based upon the Haswell EP chip. So we came out, if you can see there, with some rack and some tower type options, and we have one blade option. So it's the DL360, DL380, the DL160, DL180, as well as the BL460C and the mini tower, the ML350. What does that mean now that we have Gen 9s is what happens to the Gen 8s? These products are still available. Customers still want them, and we'll continue to produce these for about another 9 to 10 months. So there's no end of life like today. So we've got some time to migrate to the new boxes. And why wouldn't you want to migrate to new boxes? The total cost of ownership is cheaper, and on top of that, you get 3 times the performance. Now, as we look at it, now no server is particularly right across everybody. So we came out with the 10 series, which is just for small and medium-sized businesses. We have the 100 series for small and medium-sized business and enterprise businesses. The 300 series for small businesses as well as enterprises and high-performance computing. And then finally, the 500 series. Now, what differentiates those? We'll take a look at the next slide. On the right-hand side, you can see the form factor. So 1U is the height, 1S is the slot, so one slot. So as you look over there, you can see where our G8s fell within that framework. And then as I add the new Gen 9s, you see the DL20. We haven't announced it yet, but it's coming in January. We have the DL60, the DL80. There's its form factors and slot sizes. As you get into the next larger size, the 100 series, you got the DL120, 160, 180, and then our standard normal naming conventions. You got the DL360, the DL380 in Gen 9s, and we haven't announced it yet, but they'll be out in January. Is the DL560 and the DL580. The other product that I talked about are blades. We have several blade products, the BL400, the BL600, the WS400 server series. We've only announced and will currently the BL400 upgrade for Gen 9. This BL600 and the WS400 are coming out in January also. So we're releasing it in phases. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the BL460C Gen 9 server. The blades at HPE are outstanding. And on top of that, with these new Gen 9s, you're realizing up to a 70% performance increase with the new processors. And of course, you saw some of the innovations that we did with the rack and servers. The same thing applies here for the blades with the smart memory, smart caching, the PCIs, etc. And of course, with the HPE OneView, deployment of services is just outstanding. Let me give you just an example with OneView and the blade systems. We had a customer with OneView who wanted to build 12 new data sites and a new call center deployment in one night. The previous way they would have done it took them 2 sites at a time, and it took them 11 days to deploy all of those sites. Call center, it took them like 66 hours to, if you will, deploy, if you the application, the servers, getting everybody lined up in this call center. With HPE OneView, they now got that down to 1 hour to do that deployment. So huge increases in productivity tools, one pane of glass by HPE OneView to manage your server environment, your networking environment, your storage environment, etc. So with all this increased compute capability, you need the management tools that go along with it. HPE has developed all those. as we look at the total cost of ownership, this is just a small graph as it showed over the last couple of years from the G5s. And keep in mind, that was 4 generations ago versus today, a typical 3-year operational cost. So this is related to virtualization scenario. It includes the cost of vSphere. The performance numbers are calculated internally from the public benchmarks, and the number of servers in brackets are compared to 64 Gen 8 servers, down in parentheses at the bottom. It does not include any enclosure or rack infrastructure costs, but it gives you a nice comparison to show you how the performance costs have improved over the last 7-8 years, as well as the performance gains. So, last slide, why HP wins in this compute environment. Because of our ever-changing innovations, HP spans, if you will, from 100% fault-tolerant solutions down to the x86 server platform. We have blade architecture and software-defined servers. That gives you, Mr. Customer, the broadest selection of compute solutions that you can choose from that benefit your environment. We have industry-leading solutions. 80% of the world's top stock exchanges, telecoms, pharmaceuticals, are all using HP for the mission-critical platforms. 911, 90% of all the 911s in the United States are on HP. And credit card, they process 13 billion annually. And as we saw, as a result of all this customer-driven momentum, HP's #1 in x86 server share for 71 quarters, and the blade server market share for 28 quarters. That translates to 32 million HP ProLiant servers that we've shipped, as well as 3.9 million blade servers. HP invests in R&D so that you, our customers, HP's customers, PKA's customers, reap these particular benefits. And I'm going to pre-announce that within the next 4 weeks, we're about to announce a new mainframe, yes, mainframe, based upon x86 architecture. That means partitioning all the benefits that people had from the old mainframe environment, where applications run in separate pieces of this computer environment, will now be available on an x86 platform, thus eliminating a lot of the problems that people have had with the points of failure within the x86 environment. And that will include Windows Server, it'll include Linux, etc. So that's within the next couple weeks. So HP is continuing to invest in R&D, and we have a strong, or I would suggest the strongest roadmap of products that are out there for you today. So with that, I will conclude, and I'm going to turn it back over to David.
Thank you, Craig.
Use the question box on your screen, type your question in, and we'll address it. And while I'm waiting for questions, there's a couple of things that came to my mind as I was listening to both of you, and there's really exciting things that you both had to say. So Mark, I'll ask you the first question, and that is, what benefits do you see of running the latest version of vSphere, for example, on an HP Gen 9 server? Does it take advantage of performance and capabilities? I mean, how does that help a client who's virtualizing servers?
Okay, thanks, David. So, it goes back to the operational efficiency focus and how can you benefit your current infrastructure. So, better together is HP and Intel working with VMware as an example. And VMware writes their code to the latest instructions that Intel is bringing to market. HP is doing a lot of innovation around that. So when you look at your options, you have kind of a good, better, best. You have what you're running today, it's working, It's keeping the lights on. The second option is you could look at just how you go about upgrading to the latest version of vSphere to get the latest benefits that VMware is bringing to market, or run that on the older architecture. Or you could just upgrade the servers to give you benefits running the older stuff. So that's okay, you're going to get some benefit, but what HPE, Intel, VMware, and PKA want to talk to you about is how we can maximize that environment is by doing everything at once. So look at the software, the hardware together. Let's maximize the configuration based upon your specific customer needs. Target the right number of VMs that you want on that system, the new security capabilities. So all of those benefits are now available to you. So that's why we want to have this operational discussion. We want to come in and help you do an assessment of your current environment.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And Craig, a question I have for you. You had a great chart that showed all of the new Gen 9 servers and somewhat how they fit. But is there a specific HP server that you recommend for different industries?
Good question, David. The answer is yes. As we talked about with the 911 and 90% of the marketplace is on HP, those are our fault-tolerant systems. Those are not announced Gen 9s yet, but I'm pre-announcing the fact that those will be Gen 9s. For mining and for mining prospecting type industries, you need some high-performance computing, some algorithmic and big data, as you do with banking, for instance, or some of the large databases. The DL380s, the SL line, which we didn't really talk about here today, but we have those particular products. They're high-density compute chassis, which are designed, if you will, for those particular types of applications. For more efficient small to medium-sized type businesses, where you want small footprints, a more economical investment, our ML line of towers or our small DL 60, 80s, 120s that are coming out, etc. Those would be the right boxes for those. Now, it's all built on the x86 platform, so any software application will run on these particular boxes. Interestingly, even the smallest boxes have got tremendous increases in, if you will, memory. You can get a ½ terabyte on the smallest Gen 9 DL boxes. On the DL380 comes with 1.5 terabytes, so that you're able to actually load most of your data right into memory, those data files, and therefore run your compute work that much quicker, since it's all in memory. You don't have that out to disk back to memory, even though those particular functions have increased, or I should say decreased in time dramatically. So different servers for different needs and applications within inside a business. So I would strongly suggest that the folks that are out here, you need to have, if you will, an expert on these HP type products with all these options. Talk with your PKA reps, and there's their store, one more time, so SAs, their systems architects, to help you discover which particular box is your best solution for your environment. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, thank you, Craig, and thank you for sending questions in. I don't see any other questions, so I'd like to move on. And I want to tell you that for nearly 20 years, PKA has been supplying enterprise IT solutions within the tri-state area to both corporate and public sector clients. PKA is an authorized partner on the New York OGS contract and the New Jersey WSCA contract. And we partner with HPE and other vendors to provide complete solutions for your infrastructure challenges. With HPE, we've achieved Platinum Partner status. This means that our engineering staff has achieved the highest levels of certification. And it's that commitment to training our staff, along with our drive to provide excellent customer service, that has really propelled us to that level with HPE. And in addition to the services that we provide within the data center, especially architecting virtualized server solutions and VDI environments, our experience also has given us the background and capabilities to provide solutions for your storage needs, including storage consolidation, virtualization, and optimization. Our engineers can provide assessment, design, and installation services for your network infrastructures. And additionally, we provide services for your big data initiatives, as well as implementing the next generation of network and data security. Today, however, I'd really like us to focus on a service offering that's relating to the presentation that we just had on the new Intel processors and HP servers. As many of you are aware, Microsoft is discontinuing support of Windows Server 2003 next summer. For those of you that are still using this operating system, it's important to understand what your options are. At this time, I'd like to introduce Patrick Shelley, who is a senior systems engineer here at PKA, and he's going to give us an overview on our services surrounding the Windows Server 2003. Patrick, hopefully you've joined, and I've got your slides up and loaded for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, David, and thank everyone for being on. I just wanted to take a few minutes today, go through a few slides, and talk about really the Windows Server 2003 migration service process and what PKA can do to help. So Microsoft is going to be ending support for Server 2003 in July of 2015. And with doing that, that means they'll no longer provide automatic fixes, updates, technical assistance, anything like that. So what does the end of 2003 support mean? It means no updates. So far this year, there's been somewhere around 40 updates released under extended support. And once that July timeframe hits, no more updates will be developed, released, or supported. And no compliance, right? There's a lack of compliance with various standards and regulations, and not meeting them could be devastating. So this may include various regulatory or industry standards for which compliance can no longer be achieved by staying on 2003. So the migration process really needs to be thought of today and not, July 13th of next year. Next, David. So what are the reasons there's a fear for leaving Server 2003? There's a perceived challenge of upgrading the applications. There's presence of custom applications, legacy applications you may have in your environment, things like that. And the third thing, and probably most importantly, is the budget and resource constraints. David, you can fill it out. I think there you go. So as a result of these key questions may remain unanswered or even not asked without expert help. So you can see on this slide, but there's more important ones like how would my workload and applications be impacted? What skills will my IT and Microsoft support teams need to go through this migration process? What is the fastest, most risk-free way to move to, say, Windows Server 2012? And how do I make sure the entire infrastructure and data center is supported? Go ahead, David. So the migration process really should follow 4 key steps. First one being discover. Second being assess. go. Third being target, and fourth being migrate. So in the discovery step, your software and workloads will be cataloged. And then in the assess step, your workloads and applications are categorized. Target step, your destinations will be identified. And the migration step is the step after, 1 and 3 are done and where you're actually going through with the migration process. So in terms of Windows Server 2003 migration to 2012, PKA's deep consultative approach is a key differentiator in the migration process. At a basic level, it's about the sources, the destinations, accessing the inventory, the logical, obvious first steps. But the assessment is typically done in categories by type, by criticality, and by complexity and risk. So what do these categories mean? Well, type segregates varying server types as well as application types like Microsoft, third-party, custom applications you may have in your environment. Criticality allows for determining instances which must be moved immediately from those that have, say, served their purpose, may have been already retired, or even scheduled for retirement. And then finally, the complexity and risk differentiate between instances which are simple, upgrade, and those which have many components, for example, custom ones that you may have in your environment now. So here's a decision flow chart. As alternatives are evaluated for migration design workloads, the new Windows platform, a structured approach to evaluation is important. So the first and most obvious split is packaged applications, which usually have migration paths, custom build applications, which may or may not have strong documentation and portability, and for custom applications that decisions must be made on rehosting, re-engineering, replacement, upon cost, available skills, and function. When it comes to server migration, perhaps the most important attribute is maintaining business continuality throughout what amounts to be a voluntary system outage. So continuality is comprised of multiple facets, including understanding legacy system issues, understanding the complexity of the migration, managing the project in terms of overrun, and maintaining continuality throughout the entire migration process. So there are some bullet points next to each of the facets of business continuality that you might find useful to peek through now. And we have come up with this through our process of working with our customers throughout this whole process.
Patrick, you've finished talking about the service, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving us a brief overview of what the opportunity is or the situation is and what services that we can provide. And I want to thank everybody that's on the line for attending. You see some of our contacts up here. If there's anything that we can do, please reach out to us. Otherwise, I'm sure that we will be having follow-on conversations in the coming days. So before I close the call this afternoon, I want to remind you that we'll be sending a link to a recording of the presentation along with a copy of Intel's planning guide on data center optimization. Be sure to complete the survey that'll follow so that we can send you your gift card for a pizza, and we do appreciate you joining us during your lunch hour. And be on the lookout for our invitation for our next Tech Talk in December, and we will be talking about converged fabric networking. Once again, thank you to Mark, to Craig, and Patrick for the time that they took and the presentations they gave, and for everyone's attendance. And we will talk to you again soon.